My co-host, Roger Stone, is about to join me here. But first, let's go to CNN speaking for Roger Stone and then critiquing Roger Stone. And then let's get Roger Stone's response to the fake news CNN. Here's CNN reading Roger Stone's statement on air.
We have just gotten a statement in from Roger Stone as we've been talking. So let me just read this for you, Paul Callan. This is what Roger Stone says. As one can see from his recent videos and his recent interviews, my friend, Dr. Corsi, has been under a tremendous amount of pressure, and it is beginning to affect him profoundly. He has stated publicly that he is being asked over and over to say things he simply does not believe occurred. I am not aware of any plea talks involving Dr. Corsi. He is an investigative journalist whose activities I would think would largely be covered under the First Amendment. He is relentless in his research, and his network of sources is very wide. As for what he may have known and when he may have known it, his discussions with me regarding the Podesta brothers were strictly limited to their overseas business interests unearthed in the Panama Papers and other public sources that were writing about John and Tony's activities. To my best recollection, there was not one publication, mainstream or otherwise, that ever mentioned John Podesta's email prior to their posting by WikiLeaks. As I told the Washington Post, if Dr. Corsi knew that John Podesta's emails had been obtained by anyone and would be published, he never shared this information with me, nor did he give me any such documents. That's Roger Stone. Your reaction?
Roger Stone is talking like a very worried individual. He's making, before even knowing what Corsi is saying to the Mueller investigators, he's making this very detailed public statement to try to distance himself and also to say that Corsi is under tremendous pressure. Well, how would Stone know that unless he's had discussions with Corsi about this very subject? And you can be sure that the Mueller lawyers are going to be asking Corsi about what discussions he's had with Roger Stone. It's always dangerous when two people who are being looked at by investigators are sitting down with one another to, let's say, discuss the facts of the case. A lot of times prosecutors describe that as getting their stories straight. So we'll have to see how the Mueller team handles it.
So a couple takeaways here before we get Roger's response to that. One, I love how Dr. Jerry Corsi goes from Dr. Jerry Corsi to Trump Associate Corsi to now Roger Stone Associate Corsi. And then Paul Callan there says that Stone sounds like a worried man. I'm not sure where he gets any of that from. But first, Roger, let's address the real issue here. Is Paul Callan properly wearing that ascot? It just feels awkward to me.
It appeared to be like a turtleneck underneath a shirt, which went out in about 1970. Look, he jumps to a number of conclusions. First of all, both ABC and NBC had reported that Dr. Corsi did tell me that he had concluded from his own sources that John Podesta's emails had been stolen. I don't recall him ever telling me that. There is no evidence that he did so, but I was reacting not to something that hadn't been reported, Paul, but something that had been reported. I haven't spoken to Jerry Corsi in 4 or 5 months, so therefore accusing us of coordinating our testimony is beneath you as a member of the bar, unless, Paul, you have some evidence to the contrary. That's what you call a hatchet job. How did I know Jerry was under pressure? ABC, they're treating me like the KGB. It was an interrogation worthy of the North Koreans. ABC News, they refused to accept my answers, kept telling me over and over again that I must be wrong. I posted half a dozen quotes yesterday showing showing Jerry Corsi to be under pressure.
All right, we're going to get more. We're going to get more, Roger. Hold that thought. We're going to break here. I want to get more of this, more of your response to Paul Callan there. And maybe in the break we can take a closer investigation. Is that an ascot being worn improperly, or is it just an ass in a turtleneck? We'll have Roger Stone's expert take on that on the other side. This is The War Room. Wow, final hour of The War Room. Time has really flown by today as we return from Thanksgiving break. Hope everybody out there had a great Thanksgiving. My co-host Roger Stone is with us now. We just played the CNN clip where they're reading a Roger Stone statement, which is really just kind of simply just stating facts and his case. and then CNN acts like he says something damning, or Paul Callen even says he sounds like a worried person when they're not even playing a clip of you. They're just reading a statement you made. But I actually think that Paul Callen is actually attempting to wear an ascot here, but I'll digress from that, Roger. You don't seem like a worried individual to me. You've been very steadfast in all of the statements that you've made, and obviously your innocence, which is not going to change. But, of course, leave it to CNN to try to paint an inaccurate picture of what's really the case.
Well, let's try to realize exactly where we are. Dr. Jerry Corsi today rejected a plea deal from the special counsel and said specifically that he will not claim that he was a conduit from Julian Assange to me, and from me, therefore, to Donald Trump and the Trump campaign.
But Roger, I'm sorry to cut you off here. It's just, why are they doing this thing? It's like a word game now, where it's not even Dr. Corsi, it's Roger Stone Associate. Have you noticed that? It's like the headline isn't even Dr. Corsi now, it's Roger Stone Associate.
Yeah, I have noticed that. Look, I think Corsi has enormous courage. They have obviously pressured him for over 40 hours of interrogation. We know that Jeannie Rhee, the Clinton legal attack dog, ridiculed him on the stand, demanded different answers, and he put it most clearly. What he is guilty of is not saying what they want to hear. He will not swear to their false narrative. And therefore, I think this is harmful to the special counsel's case. CNN does their best to try to spin this in some way that's not entirely exculpatory. So in the last week, we've seen Randy Credico's credibility shredded based on text messages that I released that proved he was my source regarding the significance of the WikiLeaks disclosures in their October date. And we have now seen Jerry Corsi refusing in numerous interviews today to buy into the false narrative that the special counsel's office is trying to force on him. They want Dr. Corsi to testify against me and against the president, and he is refusing. Therefore, they're going to charge him with some other bogus, extraneous